Mr. Mark, I believe every word of what Mr. Shu is saying. I am also afraid of Mr. Shu. Mr. Shu, if you are listening, I don't want anybody to harm you. This is a serious thing. Corruption is big. And we Chinese have to stop that. Been bullied by Jack Dale and other government official to pay bribe. It's big all over Guyana. A Chinese to pay by bribe. Mr. Shu, I hope you to stay strong. Do not. We respect and salute you for your bravery, for coming up and speak against corruption in Guyana. Thank you, Mr. Shu. We appreciate you, Mr. Mark. 马克，我相信每一句苏先生说的话。我现在很担心苏先生。苏先生，如果你在听我说话，我不想任何人威胁你。圭亚那政府腐败很严重，这个是很严重的事情。我们中国人必须停止被那些政府用武力行贿。苏先生，我希望你能继续你的发表，也希望你在新的一年万事如意。
Guyana really nice. Guyana, it's a nice place.
Oh my God!
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather round, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Brenscott, straight up from the root. Mark Brenscott.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Source.
Okay, well,
Maybe the Chinese company that did not get the agreement that they wanted here, maybe they're the ones who told you, or it could be just a fictitious thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jerome?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place. Yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes. Yes. He is a friend of ours. His father was here from many years ago.
I mean, he lives next door to you.
Yes.
You know, he was able to arrange meetings and catch-ups with you at any point in the day. He claims
As a friend, yeah.
He claims that through his very close relationship with you, that he's able to get any deal done.
Well, I don't know
and
if
he's
that's.
able to change laws for investors.
But then which law has been changed for any investor?
So Sue told us that if you want to get anything done in Guyana, you need some hookups. I'm very close with the Vice President and the other officials. The Vice President and I share a very close relationship. Also, if we do the business, he'll help out no matter what. There's no one else who can help like he does. He also said when he's talking about prospect investors that the Vice President said he can change the Constitution, he said he can manage. Everything is going to be done soon. He's really treating us as brothers. He's already trying to help us as much as possible. Of course, I need to give back to him in return.
Yeah, but that is, I don't know about giving back, but I do that to everybody who comes to my office. They're American.
I am pretty sure he does that to every and anybody. Are you serious? That's not just his office. The Vice News actually caught him in his house with Sue. And Sue was boasting and bragging about doing all sorts of questionable business, what we will consider under normal circumstances as questionable business. Why is Jack Deere dodging the Sue issue? Is it because of a whole heap of corruption upon corruption? And some of that evidence might be in maybe law enforcement agencies' hands outside of Guyana? Why do you suppose that there's no mention of Sue any longer? Why do you suppose that there's no mention of any investigations any longer? Look, we weren't born yesterday, right? And even if we were born yesterday, we probably would not have been that gullible either. All right, good evening to all of you. My name is Mark Benchap, and welcome to Straight Up. Thank you much for sharing the link. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Exonerated Central Park 5 member Yusuf Salam responds to Trump charges with a full-page ad. That's all. He responded. Many of you would know over 20-something years ago, when these 5 of them were actually, Central Park 5, were accused of raping a white jogger. Donald Trump, without any evidence, without these guys heading to trial or anything, placed a full-page ad in the New York Times, I believe, calling for the death penalty for these guys. The death penalty. They were not tried. They did not go to court. Their trial didn't start or anything. But he immediately called for the death penalty of these guys. Hey, if you guys don't believe in karma, take a look at it. If you guys don't believe in karma, look at this evidence staring at you right in front of your face. Donald Trump took out a full-page ad calling for the death penalty of these guys. They were exonerated. There was no evidence linking them to the crime of raping, brutally raping that jogger. They were charged. That was it. And Donald Trump jumped on top of his tower and said the death penalty for these guys, the death penalty for them. Lo and behold, karma, huh? Karma. This guy, Yusuf Salam, who's running for office, a city council seat in Harlem, and I hope he wins. I hope to have him on this show, and I hope he wins. Karma, huh? Karma is a beach. B-E-A-C-H. Karma is a beach. So this guy, Yusuf Salam, took out a full-page ad calling for justice, calling for transparent, all manner of things in the name of democracy. I hope this guy wins his seat in Harlem. And whatever it is that I can do to ensure that he wins that seat, I am with him. Being accused of such a heinous crime, and even without any evidence, but because of their race, look at what that basketball player, what's her name? Reese, right? Look at what Reese is experiencing. Just take a look at what Reese is going through, right? All because, as Sharma would say, C.N. Sharma that is, as C.N. Sharma would say, all because, good night to C.N. Sharma, all because she showed this. She's going to win a ring, a championship. What is wrong with that? What is ghetto about that? There are white athletes who do far worse than that. Some of them hit up the racket and all manner of things. But it's a sports. The men behave worse than that. You know what I mean? All she showed was na, 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 right? And they're upset. They're labeling her. And I noticed Jill Biden got into that as well. And what sort of ridiculous stuff that's going on in the White House? That Jill Biden, the first lady, is going to invite them to the White House, the winner, Reese and others, her team. And on top of that, she wants to invite the team that didn't win as well, invite them both. I don't know. It kind of like makes me wonder. It makes me wonder about a lot of things, I tell you. But elections around the corner, though. But it makes me wonder about a lot of things, man. Reese, we are with her. Congratulations to her team. Nah. You can't get this. What is wrong with that? What is so ghetto about that? I don't know. I didn't come on to start talking about that, right? But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These guys get cars. Look, they get cars. The Mohammeds, they share no all sort of things. You know, I guess the wealth is healthy, the gold and all these things. But who's monitoring, who's auditing these gold miners, as whatever they call themselves? Who's auditing whether they're paying their fair share of taxes and all manner of things? But look, nah, them guys get cars, right? I tell you, I got to smile when I see certain things. And I know why I'm smiling. I'm not gullible, mind you. But it is what it is, right? Watch the ride in the car. Watch the ride. That's, like, speaking of the Mohammeds, not so long ago, well, it was kind of long, 2011, 2012. This guy was in Guyana, Anand Nadu. He's African. His name is Anand. He's from South Africa. He's African. Anand is connected with Al Jazeera. He was there in Guyana in 2011, I believe, or 2012. And as you know, there was a big gold heist and gold bust in Curacao and so forth. But we'll touch on that maybe tomorrow night. But Anand was in Guyana, and I met with Anand. And Anand met with these guys. And take a quick look. hope these gold, quote unquote, miners are paying their fair share of taxes and that no one is smuggling gold out of the country. I hope that they're not smuggling, or gold dealers are not smuggling gold. But this is what Annan went to Guyana to do a program on.
This is what $2 million worth of gold looks like. It belongs to Nazar Mohammed, a gold trader who keeps it in a rusty lockbox on the floor of his office under his desk.
So what is the value of all the gold in that box there?
Maybe about 2 million US.
Mohammed, who goes by the nickname Shell, runs his gold dealing business from a heavily guarded building in central Georgetown, the capital of Guyana.
The mining industry this year is going to bring more revenue to Guyana, more than any other industry. Yeah, we predict that we can probably get 700 to 800 million US dollars in revenue coming from the sale of gold, from the gold industry. It's really doing a lot for the country.
Gold is currently worth almost $400 million a year to Guyana. Stores are full of merchandise made with locally produced gold. But the country could...
And so Annan was in Guyana for that, specifically for that. And I did meet with Annan. And it is what it is. We've heard that, but a lot more will be said. Lots and lots more will be revealed, but certainly not tonight. Certainly not tonight. Watch the ride, as I said earlier. Look, let us focus on whatever the topic is. I know there are some people who gaffe and a whole bunch of stuff they throw in the comment section. Let us not look at it as any form of distraction, right? Let us just remain focused. Dexter Haley, I got you. I got you, Dexter Haley. I got you. And we will be showing these gold, quote unquote, gold dealers. We want to know whether they're paying their fair share of taxes. And as you know, Mohammed, what's his name? Nazar Mohammed is now a politician. He has officially joined the PPP. He's contesting a local government seat, and he should understand that he has to be transparent, come clean with his books, whether let us see what amount of taxes they're paying and all manner of things, and not boasting and bragging that they're helping to develop the country. Some of us may think otherwise, right? All right, so we have J.R. Crawford. Whilst we await for J.R. Crawford to be with us, we're told that there is already a hand-picked contractor for this. Christchurch School, a hand-picked. And this person, we are told, is of African descent. You know, Air Finale, they want to look good, so they grab somebody and say, hey, you're gonna pretend as though you're the real contractor for this. You're going to see when the bid is, well, there's no bidding actually. It's a fake bidding. They already know who they're handing this stuff to. Okay? They already know who they're handing this stuff to. And the country has a new IDB rep, Solarzano Salazar. She is the new IDB rep. She is from Ecuador, and we just want to wish her the very best. What else we can talk about before we bring our, well, not really guest. He kind of like takes the show over sometimes. This is an invoice for Jack Dew and a bunch of stuff that he shipped, from China, where it is alleged that he has a hefty bank account, and that is under investigations. I believe, mind you, it is still under investigation, active investigation. And the authorities, the investigators may be very, very close in discovering this hidden bank account Jack Deere, allegedly. Now, I'm using that word, allegedly. The investigators may think otherwise, but allegedly, right? That he has a hefty bank account in China. Maybe Sue was the guy who would come clean. I'm not sure whether Sue is in China or he has applied for asylum in the US. I don't know. But there was an official of the PPP who admitted or who hinted at the possibility, of Jack Deere having a hefty bank account in China. The authorities are close. They probably may have already discovered that. I don't know. Somebody's asking, where is Sue? I don't know where Sue is. Maybe I should try to, if folks usually ask Sue to call me, and if Sue calls me, then I'm more than willing to chat with Sue again. How long have you been living at Jack Deere's house?
No, the people just I don't know what them doing. They never do nothing there. You understand?
Yeah. So how long have you been living at Jack Deere's house?
Huh?
How long have you been living at Jack Deere's house?
Hello?
Yeah. How long have you been living at Jack Deere's house?
1 year now.
Okay. So how much rent do you pay every month?
Every 1.2.
1.2 million Guyana dollars? 1.2. We're getting a heavy feedback from GR. Yeah. $1.2 million he pays Jack Deere. 1.2 million he pays Jack Deere. Sue pays Jack Deere that. $1.2 million. Nobody's looking for Sue. Nobody's putting shackles on Jack Deere. Nobody's putting a wanted bulletin out for Jack Deere. Nobody cares about Sue. But you let an ordinary man, you let Eon Bino thief. Sorry that I'm picking on you, Eon Bino. You let Eon Bino thief some guava or mango or something. You're going to see how quick they're going to put a shackles on him. You're going to see how quick they're going to put handcuff on him. But let us hope Eon doesn't cry like how Freddie Kisum cried for 3 days and 3 nights in the breakdown lockups. I almost got fed up of him crying. I almost got fed up with that guy crying like a little baby. Just a little lockup. It's like I get nightmare just as I recall the kind of crying he did. GR, that guy Freddie Kisum cried like a baby. I almost asked for a pack of Pampers to put on him. Caesar, I've never seen a big man cry like that yet. Just for 72 hours lockup, 72 hours lockup. And I would have gone through about 20-something, 30-something, 72 hours lockup in that country already. Not just one weekend. Lots of weekends. And all Freddie could have done in that lockup for 3 days, 3 nights was What's going on, gentlemen? Good evening and welcome to Straight Up. What's happening, JR? Let's go straight to what's happening there at Alnis, Philippi, Cromer, Tialo's areas. What's going on the quarantine?
Well, I was talking to some folks on the committee, and they're still waiting for our drains to be dug. The RDC hasn't sent any machinery, and I guess they wouldn't. So they want us to be flooded when the rainy season come at the end of the month.
So wait a minute. Zulfikar went into Buxton and give the Buxtonians some cutlass, some little pitchfork, and say, hey, are you going to do farming with that? He didn't give you guys at Alnis anything?
No. You see, these guys are blatantly disrespectful. And one of the reasons because many folks are not taking this thing seriously. They're being bought out, so they don't care what happens to their community. And that's a sad part of it. Everybody's looking for a little bit of crumbs, and they don't.
But doesn't it bother you as we go to Mr. Caesar shortly that they go into other communities, they give combines, they give drag lines, they give Hymax, they give tractors, but they go into predominantly African Guyanese community and give them on cutlass,
right?
And then they give them on pitchfork and on hoe, and they say, hey, we love you guys. But in other communities, they give tractors, they give grader, they give HIMAC, they give combines, they give, come on, JR. But before, go ahead, JR. Go ahead, sir.
Here's the problem, right? When you look at the people who do not support the PPP and they're taking these crumbs, they are not taking responsibility for their future. They're not, demanding goods and services just because some are, they're more interested in foolishness. They want their democracy to be handed to them in a gift.
Look, JR, not to cut you, before we go to Caesar, I'm not boasting or bragging. All of those things that Zulfikar Mustafa, who probably now is the richest man in Berbice, thank God for getting into power. All his house, all kind of thing used to be mud fireside. Now we cooking with gas stove, all kind of thing. And we'll talk about some of those other so-called officials, one of them from Nari and so forth. We'll talk about them as well. Fencing up government reserve lands and all kind of thing at Kilmarnock. We'll talk about that guy as well. But those things that these so-called government officials like Zulfikar, the Minister of Agriculture, he gave to those people of Buxton, that's some change. We could have about 10 times that delivered to the people of Buxton tomorrow. So what they have done there is basically they disrespected the people of Buxton and they're disrespecting African Guyanese. Every single day we see this disrespect. Caesar, before we get back to Mr. Crawford. Good night, sir.
Good night, JR, and a good night to the viewers and listeners.
Yeah, your take on giving out predominantly folks in predominantly African Guyanese community a cutlass, a hoe, and a pitchfork. Your take on that. While other communities, specifically the Indian communities, and nothing is wrong with them getting stuff, but you've got to be equal if you're a fair government. You can't give one set combined HIMAC drag line, and then you're giving the people in Buxton or the people in other areas that look like the predominant folks in Buxton. You give them a cutlass, a pitchfork, and think that is development and that is fairness. Mr. Caesar.
Well, Mark, that's just a continuation of the marginalization that the PPP, is putting on the Guyanese people. And, like I said earlier on another show, that, if the government is not checked, they're going to continue to do these things. So as people step out in the community and continue to, accept, what the government is giving them, then they're going to just continue to do it. And the government is not giving the people a fraction of what they should be giving them. Not even a fraction.
Just change them. That is disrespect. Let's head back to Crawford. Crawford, you were saying before I switch over to Mr. Caesar.
Right. You see, the citizens here, for some reason, they don't want to be active in their future. They want everything to be handed to them. And the only thing that they're going to receive are disrespect and crumbs. And like you said in Buxton, they're giving out cutlass, and then other areas, they're giving heavy-duty machinery. And that's because we, as a people who do not support this political party, do not stand up for, in solidarity with our brothers who are doing the fighting and sisters and demanding that we have the same. We are very comfortable being a henchman. And it's a sad situation that, we are seeing this slave mentality back in line. And give this government 10 years in office, and it will make most of the Africans secondary citizens of this country.
We don't have to give them, Mr. Crawford. They had 23 plus years. We have seen the evidence. They got almost 3 years since they've been installed, illegally installed. And look what they're doing to the Guyanese are punishing, yes, but they're specifically targeting African Guyanese. They're disrespecting African Guyanese. We don't have to wait for 10 years. 10 years from now, there will be no Guyana. None whatsoever. Guyana will be flat under this corrupt PPP regime.
That has occurred because if you look at the people who are doing the dirty work, they're all mostly Africans doing the dirty work against the Africans. And people, they're not calling it out as it is. The black man has been responsible for selling his soul for hundreds of years, his brothers and sisters, and they continue to do it. It's a sickness within some people. And until that has changed, we will always see a sellout. And we're seeing a resurgence of the old colonial masters and some new ones. Guyana is going to be sold out. We're going to be so heavily in debt that the international people are going to be owning the majority of this country.
That's why I said in 10 years there will be no Guyana under the PPP. We got to fight back and we got to take back Guyana. That's what we got to do. Mr. Caesar, your take.
I just want to come back, continue on what Mr. Crawford started there. The international people are going to own Guyana. Well, that's partially. And Mark, you know what? When the PPP first took power and they were in power for 23 years, I would like to see what the party had at that time as a vision, because I'm figuring that this party had an external vision and an internal vision that wasn't shared with the public. Because, I was doing some analysis today, and some thinking. And when I look at the presentation that Mr. Hughes had for the EPADG, and it showed such discrepancy on one side when it comes to wealth in Guyana and who owns what. This could have only been planned, Mark. This cannot happen by chance. There is no way. As an accountant, there is no way that would have happened by chance. What does that bring me to? It brings me to the Marriott that the PPP is planning to sell. No, this is an asset, right, that is still bringing you income. You're not in a loss position when you look at this asset. So there is no need to sell this asset, especially since the government would have been in the position that they're in, and everybody's looking at them and saying that they are marginalizing, people who do not support them, right? They're thinking about opening another hotel up at the airport. These hotels, Mark, at this point, they should all, whatever line of hotels they open or construct, should be all government owned. Because I guarantee you, the buyer for the Marriott is not an Afro-Guyanese. I can guarantee you that.
Well, you don't have to guarantee anybody that. It's already obvious. And it's also obvious that they already sold the hotel. They know who they're selling the hotel to. And it is a form of money laundering. Because you are correct. If in fact that you have something that is making a profit, and you can take that profit and build some roads and build schools and so forth, why sell it? You're not selling whatever that is not making profit, but you're selling something that's making profit. And these are the people who love to say that they are good businessmen. They know how to do business. That's not knowing how to do business. First of all, the Marriott was built under secrecy. They hired no black person. And I was there on the ground. I protested. I went into the compound and I videoed the entire compound that were just Chinese nationals working there. Not an indigenous Guyanese, not an East Indian Guyanese, not an African. Well, no, they had an African Guyanese in the guard hut, in a little guard hut, squeezed up in a corner. That's the only African Guyanese I saw there. And I have the video to show it. I have the evidence to show it. So after they took Guyanese taxpayers' money, give it to their friends and cronies to secretly build that and they build that hotel without naming who the investors are. The opposition then, the AFC and the PNC and so forth, they jumped up on a mountaintop and they said they're going to, that's a bad deal. That's a bad deal. As soon as the coalition got in there, you know what I asked them for? Let us see who the investors are at Marriott. Lord of mercy, to this day, they've been kicked out of office. They themselves didn't want to reveal who the investors are. And you see the nature of politics. I hope ordinary folks are watching. You see the nature of politics. To this day, we don't know who those investors are. Before you're raising your finger, go ahead. You're raising your finger, Caesar. Go ahead.
No. So exactly what you're saying, Mark. These people, they look. I think I posted a comment on the show last night. These people are all working together. And what I would say to the Guyanese people, when you guys go to vote, you guys have to be very careful of who you vote for, man. Because in Guyana, when you vote, it seems as if you're voting for the next batch of rich people in the country.
Are not even rich. People, look, a lot of these politicians are not rich. You think Zulfikar is rich? You think Robert Passad was rich? You think Jagdev? They're poor people. Their finale grew up in a boat.
Well, Mark, what I mean by they're voting for the next rich batch of people.
They become the biggest recipients of taxpaying dollars. They're welfare recipients. Most of them got into office to get rich. That's what. Look at their houses. Look at some of them where they lived before. Look at Rohi, allegedly used to thief bicycle. As soon as they got into office, he became a foreign affairs minister and all these sort of things. Most of these guys are flat-foot hustlers. I prefer to put Conrad in office. Conrad August, I prefer to put most of these people who are watching this show right now, I prefer to put them in office, put JR in office, put you in office, and I'll continue doing this show right here. Put y'all in office compared to some of these flat-foot hustlers we have in the installed PPP regime, and they get some flat-foot hustlers in the opposition as well. Mr. Crawford, go ahead, man.
Mark, look, what is so sad? We're seeing all this constructions all over the place, right? That is a recipe for disaster. We're not seeing money's being spent on food products to feed the nation and other nations. Yes, we need roads and we need some other niceties. At this juncture, I would focus on
we need hotels now. We need hotels. We need long-term hotels. We need short-term hotel. And we need a quick run-through hotel. According to these people, that is their vision. That's their vision for Guyana. Hotels. It is a form of, Mr. Crawford, it is a form of money laundering. So the more they give their friends these deals to build hotels, it's basically to launder the goddamn money. But go ahead, sir.
That is the problem. And the 90% that I was saying this years ago on this platform, the 90% of the folks who are going to be up against it, if they stop being racial, and this goes for both Black and East Indian, and come together and realize that, listen, we are not getting goods and services, or generations coming behind us are going to be left wanting. Let's demand that we are part and parts of these things. The opposition is being shut out of any future plans for this country. That is not how democracy works. We're going to be sold unknowing to the masses, and eventually these fat cats are going to run off, go to a different country and enjoy their life, while Guyanese are left to spend another 100+ years to pay back debts.
Paying back their debts while they're enjoying themselves, their wives, their family, their concubines, all. And every single thing they do on the backs of the goddamn taxpayers of that country.
But one thing I'm going to say tonight, I'm going to say this tonight.
They're not seeing it. These in office right now, they're not seeing it. Nobody's seeing it. The poor people, the working class people are the ones who are going to continue to suffer and working like dogs and cats to pay back Exxon and all these executives flying in on business class, first class, while the ordinary working class people got to pay $500-600 to sit down and pit next to the toilet side on the airline. This is a shame. Somebody's got to do something and stand up for these people.
What I see,
Guyana. One second, Mr. Crawford. When last you guys heard anybody in the opposition take up Exxon Mobil? to say that they got to pay their fair share. Look at the audits that's coming out, man. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Who you think got to pay that? You think Jack Davis is going to pay that? You think Irfan Ali is going to pay that? You think Zulfikar Mustafa and all these guys are going to pay that? You think those in the opposition are going to be paying that? No. It's the ordinary working class, whether they're from Port Morant, whether they're from Kokwani, Aichuni, Linden, Letem, Port Kaituma, Madhya, Georgetown, Sophia, wherever. The ordinary working class people have to repay that. And they may have to repay it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 goddamn years. And nobody's doing anything. Nobody's standing up. Well, Glenlal seems to be standing up. But I try to say to Glenlal that there are human rights issues, there's discrimination in other forms, but Glenlal is stuck with his oil situation. We can't blame him. He's stuck with oil. I don't know. I'm like I just want to basically jump on a podium and say enough is enough with what's happening in Guyana. It's about time the ordinary working class people, who are the majority, regardless of their ethnicity, deserve better. Nobody should be coming into your country and taking out billions upon billions of dollars of oil in 2023. You guys take over the show. I'm going to sit back and relax. Talk whatever you guys want to talk.
Mark, what I was saying, I foresee in the future where citizens are going to start to deal politicians some serious blows when people are going to be up against it with the cost of living and the lack of services and goods. Eventually, the politicians are going to feel the brunt from the masses. I'm seeing this. And this will start from within the PPP communities. Many communities are crying out that they didn't expect this is what is meted out to them. And if your own supporters are making noises, how long are you going to keep them stupid? How long are you going to keep them chained down mentally? They are going to resist. And as long as the people come together and hold all the politicians from both sides of the aisle accountable for the direction and the situation of this country, we are not going to have an improved life as Guyanese citizens. And this is what needs to be done. We as a people need to stop hating people because of their hair texture or their religion. Look at who is suffering and look who is abusing the mentality of the people. Come together and demand proper goods and services or no support, regardless of which side of the aisle these politicians are. Because you can't have people who are drawing taxpayers' money and are not doing the bidding for the people to have a better life than yesterday. Why is it everything is a promise year after year after year, generations after generations? The same way how they tricked Desmond Hoyt into selling out GRDB, it's going to be the same thing with all the other industries, and the owners are going to be foreign nationals with a few Guyanese involved in it. And that's how the country is going to be run down.
We need to be more vigorous. This and hold all governments accountable, regardless whether these vagabonds who are in office right now. All governments need to be held accountable, regardless of who they are. And I agree with you that people should come out and start criticizing and start protesting because it's bread and butter issue. This is not a race issue. It is bread and butter. The PPP doesn't give a damn about most Guyanese. They don't give a damn about majority of their supporters. And we are seeing this every single day. Let's go quickly to this little tape before we get back. We're not going to play everything because the lady in the tape, a friend of mine, I usually call her Alakutra, prevented the man from saying more that he should have been saying. Nevertheless, we are grateful and we're thankful that this videotape was taken. This is the mindset of people in the country right now, and I hope that they stand up and be more aggressive in exercising their constitutional rights.
Tell them. Yeah, tell them what you have. You're robbing me, you know.
Irfan Ali, Nandalal.
I'm up to the end.
And this next one, Listen, a 4 man around this country. And they plan them.
The wicked. Yeah, the wicked.
One black man, I kill black man here.
My God. Yeah.
I see that I want to fight the people them black man. I come together and bring them out.
Yes, take them out in Jesus' name.
Jack, they want one black in America, whole black. In America, you never wife, you never pick you any money.
Never get part the cake, yeah. Tell them. Rabako to the end of the year, pre.
I mean, putting aside the humor there, in that little humor that we heard, people are getting fed up, Caesar. You heard, Crawford, you heard. People are getting fed up of this corrupt, racist PPP regime. They're getting fed up. That is why I'm saying that we cannot just judge all of our Indian brothers and sisters and believe that they're all pro PPP, you know. They're not. Caesar?
Well, Mark, when it comes to the financials of the people of Guyana, the PPP have no regards for them. They are going out there and they are borrowing money right and left, and they are making deals right and left. They are building hotels, they are building communities, well, not stadiums. You know, they're doing, you know, large buildings for themselves. You know, all these things are going on with the taxpayers' money.
And a lot of it has to do with money laundering. Their friends in the private sector commission, quite a few of them are money launderers. Quite a few of them are blacklisted. They have gotten their U.S. visas revoked, and some of them are on the extradition list. So read between the lines. This is not a real government. This is a corrupt entity. It's a semi-mafia entity with a bunch of dunces parading as businessmen.
Yeah, but what continues to concern me, Mark, is that the international community is just looking on, and you know we keep coming on the program all the time, and we keep, you know, calling on the Guyanese people. We're not calling for any violence or any fighting, but we are asking the people to just, you know, hey, you know, you have rights in Guyana. You know, you have rights. The Constitution gives you rights. You know, and you have to use it at some point.
Don't be afraid to use your rights. Don't be afraid of that at all.
You have to demonstrate that right to speak out. You know, I think
Absolutely.
the posture of the people continues to, you know, have the PPP get more and more aggressive with what they're doing. The PPP is managing the Guyanese people financials with total disregard for risk.
They've got to stop with that. I've been told that there are some Guyanese who are in Houston, Texas, are planning to go and protest in front of Exxon's headquarters out there in Texas, asking why is it that Exxon is doing business with individuals who are under serious criminal investigations by foreign law enforcement agencies, whether it's money laundering, whether it is gold smuggling, whether it's drug dealing. Exxon is doing business with some of those individuals back in Guyana. And I'm told that some folks will be out in front of Exxon's headquarters to protest against that. Let us see what Exxon is going to do as a result of that. But there's some other thing. Let's bring in Mr. J.R. Crawford for the first bite at this. This guy who sits there as the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture is saying something totally contrary to what we know Mashramani to be, a celebration of Guyanese-ness, so to speak, of one people, one nation, one destiny. And now this guy is talking about dancehall competition for next year's MASH. Dancehall competition for next year's MASH. Mr. Crawford, your take, sir.
Total disrespect to the Guyanese people, and it's a slap in the face to a certain group of people, because it is known that Black people love to be in the dance hall. It's a disrespect to the people. We should not be having dancehall competition for Mashramani. That's not the purpose of Mashramani. But what these guys are doing, they're using any and everything to convert what is fundamentally correct for our country to what they want. They're changing the whole perspective of this country. And if they're allowed to run unchecked, they're going to change our whole way of life in this country. And all because we're having citizens who fight for leadership, in regardless if they're in government or out of government, and they're not doing the bidding for the people. Where is the opposition? Why is the opposition silent? Why are all the MPs silent on these matters? You're taking a salary to do the people's work. If someone was employed in a foreign nation and getting paid and not doing work, they would be handed a pink slip. Why is it that it's so hard for us to hold our political leaders, elected or selected, accountable? And that's the nonsense that this country is allowing, and that is why we are not a progressive nation, even after 50 plus years of independence.
Look at this stupidity, dotishness, downright dotishness. I have not seen any rapid response from the opposition, especially from whomever sits there as the the shadow minister of youth, sports, and culture. Not a single word, nothing at all. But this loony could come out with this ridiculous thing. What does he want? People to jump up and dance all and sing all kind of dance all. What say mushroom money here? If you say you mash it, you jam it, you ram it, push it, mash it, mash it, rush it. You know, I mean, sorry guys, sorry to the listeners. I'm just getting a bit carried away because this is ridiculous. What they should do is to take the money and invest it so that we can better whatever the mashramani, the calypso that they don't want to play on the airwaves. If they don't want to play the mashramani songs that these guys sing, they censor it. They don't want to play it. Some of these guys are banned from the airwaves, but yet they want to come down with a dancehall thing for mashramani. So we are going to sing dancehall now for mashramani. You hear me? And the DJs then will say, right, throughout the mash. I love dancehall music, don't get me wrong. But it's totally inappropriate for mashramani. I don't care what anybody say. It is inappropriate for mashramani. Mashramani is about the float, it's about the Guyanese culture, and it's about singing mashramani song. Like my uncle, Julius Benchcap, sang the first mashramani song. God in heaven knows what, some mashramani, right? That is mashramani. If you want to modernize it, yes. Can we do better? Hell yes. But does this regime know? Do they want to do better? No, they want to mash up every goddamn thing in that country because they don't know better. They mean fight for nothing. Who in this regime fought for anything? So they don't care. Ramson father who sits there at his house collecting over $1 million a month as Commissioner of Information and refuses to give out information in the name of transparency. Are you telling me these people could be right? I am fed up with these guys, man. I need some mobby. You guys continue talking. I'll be back.
Mark, look, put the blame where it has to be. It has to be with the people, and more so, the leading party of the coalition, the PNC, the leadership body. They are not taking care of the people's interest. It's not only that they're going to be representing the PNC supporters, they have to do the bidding for every single Guyanese. Because at the end of the day, whoever is in leadership position must look after all of the citizens, not just your supporters. But we're too damn hell-bent on race and religion division.
And stupidity. This government, this regime has no vision. They're a set of bandits. Look at them. 19 fraud charges. Look at the other one. Sue looking for him. Sue has made the allegations. Look at all of them getting rich and rich and rich and rich. They go in there like paupers. Some of them walked in there in the parliament on the first day with slippers on their feet. 2 left side boots like Francine and the others. That's what they do. They are the biggest welfare recipients in that country, sucking the blood of the ordinary working class people, whether they're from Port Morant, whether they're from Linden, wherever they're from. These people are a bunch of bandits in office. Caesar, let me get something from you.
Before Caesar come in, Mark, another body that has been so silent, and one has to wonder, is the religious organization, regardless if it's the Christian, the Hindu, or the Muslim. It means to tell you that everybody's looking or has a price,
What
and they
religious
don't
body?
care
What
about the
religious? What
standard of
religious body
society.
silent? What religious body silent, Mr. Crawford?
All of them.
What do you mean silent? Don't you live next to a church two doors down, or that they sell the church?
The church is sold.
This church is sold. But you drive over to Alverston, you drive over to Big Alness there. There's a set of singing every Sunday. What do you mean they're quiet? They're singing every Sunday.
I don't know. Singing what?
Singing. You remember those days? Father Abraham had many sons, They're still singing. But they're afraid. I agree with you on a serious note. I agree that the religious leaders are afraid to take up a position. And these are the guys who every day they preach from the Bible and they tell you what God wants, and they tell you that God is a fearless God and that God doesn't like wrongdoers and God doesn't like when you do things wrong. And they say that when you do an injustice against the people, that the people will one day rise up. And then they say that in Ecclesiastes 3, there's a time and there's a season for everything. But they don't tell you that there's a time right now to stand up against, hallelujah, a corrupt regime in Guyana, and that it takes one man to make that move, and God protects his people. They don't tell you those things. You know why? Because a lot of them are afraid that they're not going to get duty-free concessions. And a lot of them, when they write to office of the president and begging for some favors, they don't ask God. They sing, they say, take it to the Lord in prayers. Do I get an amen? But a lot of these religious leaders don't take it to the Lord in pray. They take it to office of the president in prayer. Because they ask for duty-free concessions, they ask for 2 bench, 2 chairs, a microphone, a PA system for their churches. And the mandirs, they are quiet. The pandits no longer say swaha. They don't do that in the name of the people. And the Muslims, you check all of the big donations from the mosque, and you check all of the times that they have written and asked for their taxes to be wiped off, and all these manner of things. That is what these people do. Religion, without offending some of my friends who are pastors and reverends and pundits and so forth, religion, for the most part, there are some genuine religious leaders in Guyana, but for the most part, it has become a hustle business. How do we make a quick hustle? You quote certain parts of the Bible, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting carried away in this preaching thing. I should have been a preacher, you know. But that is reality. These pastors, these pundits, and these mages and so forth, not all of them, and I'm not ridiculing religion, neither am I painting all of them with the same brush. There's some good pastors, there's some good pundits, and there's some good mages, but we hardly see them. Just a few of them we do see. They need to wake up and start speaking the truth as to what's happening in that country. Apostle Nigel London, good evening to you. A brave one. Some pastors may say, oh, he's not a pastor, man. He's an apostle. He himself says he's not a pastor, too. He's an apostle. But we need more strong religious men of God, who can be preaching out regardless of their denomination, whether it's Hindu, Muslim, it doesn't matter. Speak up. And do I get an amen for that? Or a swaha?
Amen.
Or a salam alaikum? A bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah, right? Yeah. Guyana must get better, man. It must get better.
Mark, you speak about fear and about these religious leaders being, are in fear. But how can you be in fear, but you're not in fear to collect tithes and offering? Right? You're good enough to collect tithes and offering from the churchgoers, and then what you do? You send them back out there, to be oppressed by the same government. And then you also speak of, there's a season for everything. I agree. But a season can be 23 years and counting, or 28 years or whatever and counting, of the same oppression, from the PPPC. We've got to move past that. And I know JR just called on the MPs, and said that they have to step up. I feel like if we've been saying that every night, but what about the people? You guys have to meet your MPs halfway, man. We can't just take everything and just throw it on them.
No, like like some MP pay you for come tonight and talk them.
No, Mark.
One second.
I gotta be honest.
We're going up the road right now. We're going up the road right now.
All right. So yeah, I'm good with that.
You get paid if you come and talk that tonight.
No.
On a serious note, Mr. Caesar, I don't want to elect no politician, and no politician or anybody telling me that I have to walk and meet my politicians who are being paid to represent me and to represent others, that I got to meet them halfway, walk to meet them halfway. When they collect their pay, do they walk to meet us halfway?
Well, I mean, Mark, just to say this, when they call, functions within the community and stuff, we need to see bigger turnouts, man. This is the opportunity that the opposition would have, to edify the people as to what's going on, I mean, if you're not getting a turnout, then how are we going to grow the party? How are we going to be able to educate and edify the people? How are they going to have knowledge of what's going on, in the country? Because you have a PPP government that's managing the people's finances with no regards whatsoever.
They're not managing
Mark, when you're managing your finances, you kind of look at the risk, and when you make investments, you try to mitigate the risk. Risk comes in two baskets. There's financial risk, and then there's reputational risk. When it comes to reputational risk, the PPP don't give a damn. They don't care what I or JR or anybody have to say about them. They are going out there and do whatever they feel like doing. They don't care about their reputation. And the Guyanese people need to be aware of this. You don't need a government like that. You need a government that is mitigating their reputational risk and is also mitigating the financial risk. Because what's going on here with all these investments, man, I am really sorry for the people. I'm sorry for those young kids coming up. Mark, there's going to be no hope for those kids. No type of vision. And talking about vision, let me just take a quick second to stick this in there. And this is really for the sugar workers. I was studying these sugar workers generation after generation cutting cane. Jack Dio never look at you guys as anything else but cane cutters. I am sure there are a few of you in there that could have been lawyers, accountants, amongst other things. You cannot allow people to break your dreams. Do not allow anyone to break your dreams. Jack Dio is a wicked man. He is a wicked man, Mark. All you use those people for is their votes.
There are lots of wicked politicians. All they do is use the people for their votes. And some of those wicked politicians are not only in the PPP, but the bulk of the wicked ones we're seeing are in the PPP indeed. So I hope that is clear. Now, I want to make this point before we move on to something else. We're way past our time. It's 3 minutes after 10 o'clock. And I notice Ms. Simons is making a valid point. The people have a role to play. I'm not denying that. The people can't just sit back and say, allow the politicians to do everything. I'm not saying that. But the politicians, the people want to see the politicians being brave enough to go out there and to make that first step. Once those politicians make that first step, the people, they don't even have to call the people. Once they see Member of Parliament Desri is representing their interest and fighting for them, the people will be there with Desri. The people will be there with MP Crawford or MP Caesar or MP Ben. They will be there with them. But when the MPs are not doing anything, they become complacent. All they do, not all of them, mind you, is complain and give excuses why we can't do this and why we can't protest. And the people will take a step back because they're not motivated. They're just not motivated. And now let me say this too. I want to respond to, and I like responding to him. Wait a minute. Charmaine Crummy Wing is saying, wow, stop bashing the church. Since when look, People get a problem with everything. We bash members of parliament. We bash politicians. We bash PPP. Now we don't bash, we constructively criticize. And we're saying that we're not painting all the churches with the same brush, Charmaine. I am sure you heard that, right? We are saying that they're pastors, they're reverends, they're mages, they're pundits who are sitting down and they're silent in the face of oppression. Some pastors are speaking out. Pandit, like Pandit Ubraj Narayan, the mayor of Georgetown, he is speaking out and so forth. So we're not bashing church. They almost stop being so emotional. Hallelujah. Who is bashing church? Ala Kuntra. Nobody's bashing the church, Miss Crummy Wing. Come on. So now I was looking for a comment, and if Lemon can find that for me, a comment where, okay, here it is. Here it is. We will get to this comment. Sean Anthony Ben is saying the citizens of the country are dead numb. I hope Sean knows that he is including himself, because I've never seen Sean, and Sean is in Guyana, and I've never seen Sean at any protest. I've never seen Sean calling for the people to come together and head out to stand up against injustices. I've never seen Sean doing these things. Sean, you got to start doing these things, my friend. Well, my cousin. You got to start doing these things. Stop being a keyboard warrior. Stop it. In the name of Allah Kundra. Stop it. Hallelujah. Jamal Aziz, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Jamal. Salaam alaikum. I recall the last time, right, JR, you remember we all met? Jamal?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you this question, starting off with Mr. Crawford. And you've made some valid points, Mr. Caesar. I get your points, my friend. I get your points. Some very valid points. But let's take a look at this here now. People's Progressive Party General Secretary. I don't know why they keep using doctor to this Nimakaram. He is the holder of an honorary doctorate, and you do not address people as doc. I am the holder of two honorary doctorates, one from Camp Street and one from Brigdam. But I don't use it, right? I don't use it. Just Nima Karama, Dr. Barrett, Dr. Barrett. You're not a holder of a PhD. Get the hell out of here. But anyways, you're saying that he met today with some of the party's local government election candidate supporters from New Amsterdam. They pay taxpayers' money to drag these people all the way to Georgetown. Dress them up and send them to Georgetown. Some of them get paid. They get $5,000 for lunch and all manner of things. That is what they're doing with taxpayers' money, to pay people, bribe people, pay them $40,000 and all kind of thing to join the party. This is fake. This here is fake, because 3/4 of the people there are not from New Amsterdam, and almost all of them are not going to be voting for the PPP. Mr. Crawford, when you finish rubbing your eyes, let's get your take on what's happening here.
Mark, I disagree with you on some of the comments on this part, because with the implementation of the economic oppression on a particular race, once you start to give them these crumbs and you allow them to run amok with certain illegal activities, they are going to become loyal to the PPP and give them their support at the polls. I've seen it the last election, and I'm hearing some of the younger ones were saying that Granger was too hard and no run-ins was happening during his time. They prefer a government that will allow you to do foolishness. So we have to be very careful with these people that are from certain areas. Now, our leaders on the coalition end should be able to counterattack, this kind of moves. Jagdev has told them, because he's been disrespectful to the coalition leadership, that he's going to go into Region 4, Region 6, and Linden, and he's going to make inroads. They might be doing a little work here and there, but this house-to-house gaffing with citizens can't cut it. You need to have people out there so they could see others who are supporters of the coalition, and that's how you spread the word. Don't tell me, but I went to 16 houses. I want to see everybody out there mingling, and that is how you grow the party. But we are taking this thing lightly. The PPP has lost the majority 2 elections ago. So what they're doing, they're going to buy in to the disgruntled African, mainly African people, to get them. Once you give them that crumbs, they're going to become loyal. It is known that certain people become loyal once you give them crumbs. If you look at the henchmen setup, 90% of them are Black people. Some people may get upset and offended, but you got to call it as it is. They are the ones who have caused this country to spiral downwards because of the bad mentality. And if you look back from 500 years ago, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Now, before you get to win, there's an issue that I want to mention in this here. When I joined the PNC, or when I attempted to join the PNC since 2016, I have my records of that. It was because of the leadership of Granger. Now, I've known that we all do make choices and it doesn't pan out because we work upon recommendations because we don't know everybody. Mr. Granger, he did a lot of good, but he needs to address the nation on certain hot button issues because his supporters are feeling the brunt of this, and not only Black folks, but a lot of East Indian folks who supported Mr. Granger over the years. And he was the reason for me to join the PNC. And I'm saying this tonight. If Mr. Granger can't come out and speak to the people, because he was put into office by the people, he needs to stay off the airways totally and enjoy his retirement. Thank you for what you've done. But if you can't address the issues and educate the followers, the same loyal followers that are still here, what transpired and caused us to be in this position 3 years after he was in office, he was forced out. He don't need to be on the air on Fridays and bench up or any other airwaves. That is my take. I mean, a lot of people curse him. A lot of people call him a lot of names. It is time now. He's a big man. Regardless of the threats or if they are or there isn't, he needs to address his people and let them know once and for all what the hell went down and what caused us to be in this position now as a country. Because not only the human suffering, but our financial loss, our younger generation are going to be born into debt, all because we were unaware of what happened and how we could stop the bleeding. The PNC is in a disarray. If Granger has to come out of his home to get some semblance into the party and some responsible people to get in there, he needs to get out and do it. He owes the people that much. They trusted him. They put him into office. He needs to return the favor back to the people or stay quiet and do not do another public program.
All right. I get your point. As you know, Mr. Granger is recovering from a form of cancer that doesn't require him to be close to people. And I don't see him becoming, again, actively involved in politics. And I do agree with you that there is an explanation that is needed to the nation indeed. I have been saying that as well. He should have already explained what transpired. People are just dying to hear what happened, just to put things to rest and to just be at ease and prepare for the next elections. I do agree with you on that as well. But Mr. Granger will continue to host this program every Friday right here on 107.1 FM. Others were given that opportunity to come and speak. They have refused to, and I commend Mr. Granger for sticking to his schedule. However, I too am sometimes a little eager to hear him speak about current matters, the current situation. And if there's any way that I can get him to speak on current situation, I will try my utmost. But he's going to remain doing his Friday show. Mr. Caesar, as we said earlier, that the PPP is going into predominantly Black communities and paying Black folks crumbs to come out and pretend as though they have joined the party. We know that people are pretending. It is dangerous, yes, but what do you think is happening there, sir?
Okay, so Mark, I want to make something very, very clear. When it comes to finances, the coalition is not in the same ball game.
Well, one second. Let me, and Bundari, I'm keeping an eye on you, and I don't appreciate the disrespect. All of the programs you see here of Granger and whoever MPs that were on are free of charge. No one pays for anything. And if you know me, obviously you don't know me, money is never a priority when it comes to this struggle for me. Not a single cent any one of them pays for any program. And for months I've carried so many members of parliament for the opposition and not even 1,000 Guyana dollars from them. So don't come with this disrespect, but a little freck that Mark is not going to give up. The former president pays not even a penny for all of his programs. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Mark, as I was saying, from a financial perspective, the coalition is not in the same ballpark with the PPP. The PPP have all the oil revenue at their disposal, although that money should not be used for campaigning and rallies. They should be coming from their party. That's not going to be the case because, as you know, the PPP is lawless and they're going to use the money for whatever they're so pleased to use the money for. That being said, Mark, so you know that you can win financially. Where do you have to win? Exactly what yourself and JR has been saying. You have to win on the ground amongst the people. Because it's those people who's going to determine who wins the next election. And it might be 2023 and you might be looking and saying, oh, elections is until 2025. But if we look, we can see that the PPP is already in campaign mode. I know you guys are going to agree with me on that. They are already in campaign mode. Okay? We got to get going. And to the guys, people, don't worry the crumbs that the PPP giving you guys. In this world that we live in, you guys are some of the richest people per capita, but you don't see that money. Why? Because the government don't allow it to trickle down. It stays up. It stays up in the echelon of the top 10% of them. They keep everything. So you guys need to go there and take what's yours. There is money on the table out there for you guys. Don't worry the $40,000 thing. Even if they give you $100,000, they could give you $500,000 to vote. You're worth way more than that. And you're set to get way more than that. And one thing I must caution you guys on, because I strongly feel that there's going to be a regime change in Guyana. And what I want the people of Guyana to do is think. You got to think. Think about all these deals that the PPP is making. Okay? It's going to take some time to recover. I felt like if you guys did not give the coalition an opportunity, but then I can't say that because the elections was rigged. You probably did give them the opportunity. But I'm telling you guys now, it's going to take some time for us to recover from.
Well, that is what the coalition attempted to do, to have the nation recover from that, what happened for 20-something years under the PPP. So I agree. I think I saw a comment from a Joe King here, and I agree with Joe King, quite respectable guy, it seems here. Mark, we sympathize with Mr. Granger's illness, fair enough. We will be satisfied with a press conference or an address to the nation. I agree with you guys on that. It's not that I haven't said that before. It's not that I'm not in agreement with you guys. I am in agreement. But what I'm not going to be allowing myself to do is those who are now calling for Granger's head, the few, were the very ones who were calling for my head and Lincoln Lewis head and others' head, who were saying that Granger, they need to do more when they were in the coalition. They used to cuss me every day and say, Mark, why you don't shut your mouth? Why you don't this? They used to hunt me down. All because I was saying basically the same thing that some of them are saying now, that more should be done and this should be done, but they were hunting me down. But now the very people who were hunting me down, looking to cut my neck off of David Granger, are the ones who want me to join them now to criticize David Granger. Granger was not a perfect president, but he meant well for the country. Within the short space of time he was there, he did well, way better than the PPP regime, 20-something years they've been there. Mistakes were made by Mr. Granger. Yes, in fact, I agree that after the 2020 elections, he should have properly addressed the nation. He did not do that, and things are not settling well with majority of his supporters. I agree with you guys on that. But I'm not going to allow emotions to get the better part of me, to join with those of you who are hurt for different reasons to throw David Granger under the bus. I refuse to do that. Thank you. Oh, thank you. So we're looking at how we're looking at how the PPP is mismanaging the country. We're looking at how the PPP is basically ill-treating mainly persons of African descent. We see that. We see it every single day. Every single day. And mind you, getting back, some of the people that we find, and this is not the ordinary folks who are out here. I'm not knocking at you guys. Some of those who were in office before, they're criticizing President David Granger. Oh, he shouldn't do this. He didn't, he this, he that, he let me down. A lot of them, when they were in office, whatever office they held, you couldn't get to them. They weren't answering their phones. They didn't give a damn about the ordinary people. But now they want to tell the ordinary people what went wrong. I know of a lot of them. When you call them on their phone, they're busy. You send them an email, they don't even respond to you. So they have to be taking some responsibility too as well for what transpired. Don't throw all of the blame on David Granger. I know some of them. Let's go, because we're looking, it's almost 10:30 now. Let's look forward to close up. You were about to say something, Mr. Caesar? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So, Mark, I wanted to follow up on what you just said there. You know, many of them could not be reached, you know, to the extent that there is a regime change in Guyana. Straight Up is going to still be around, and we're going to check them. You know why? Because we're going to feel the complaints of the people. We're going to either have them message it into us or call in. And we're going to check them, because this is not going to continue to happen. It's just not going to continue to happen.
Somebody, Janet Elias, reminded me that, Mark, you remember what they did when you ran for mayor? Of course. And you think I'm going to hold that against Mr. Granger? Mr. Granger, Nagamutu stood out somewhere in South and told the people, don't vote for me. Vote for people who have contact. In other words, they were talking about the PNC slate with Duncan and these other folks now come on the scene. They tell him, don't vote for Ben Sharp. Now, I could have been emotional about that and so forth, but it is politics. Yep, my friend David Granger did that to me. Don't vote for Mark. Don't vote. Thank you for reminding me about that, man. A lot of people don't know that. They don't know that it is the same Ben Sharp radio that they took back under the coalition government, you know. They don't know about all these things. They don't know that it is the same Ben Sharp radio used to got to fight the same coalition down for little ads. They don't know all these things. So I could easily be sitting here with a whole lot of emotions and vendetta. But you're not seeing that in me. Some of these guys who were in office held some positions under the coalition, they're vexed because they didn't get a job. They're not concerned about you, the ordinary people. A lot of them aren't concerned about it. And so you see them every day, they're upset about that. Some of them upset. I know one particular lady upset and going around abusing the PNC, that she's been with the PNC for about 60 years or 150 years. And that Granger didn't put her back in parliament. All she needed was 2 more years before she gets her pension. So you see the priority with some of these people. You see what the priority is, right? Mr. Crawford, you're smiling. Your closing remarks, please, sir.
Mark, the Guyanese people need to take ownership. They need to step back a little from the mirror and ask themselves, what are we going to have years down the road? We as a people, it is a known fact that Guyanese, Black, and Indian cannot survive without each other. So why are we at war? We need to love our neighbors, regardless of their ethnicity or religion. We need to look out for the people that are on the good side. We need to report the evil ones to the relevant authority to make sure that our communities are not destroyed. We need to hold all the politicians accountable for our services and goods. If we elect from our party's perspective someone who's supposed to do our bidding and they don't, we need to get them out, run them off a rail. We cannot have people who are drawing the salaries of the taxpayers and are not doing the work of the country. Most of all, this installed regime, they better check their behavior. The time that we are running, doing stadiums and disposable roads, we should have propped up our health center and our educational facilities, import some, people that can help those sectors. Our security sector needs to be addressed. Yes, we need infrastructure, but the most important infrastructure of a country is its people. And if you don't have an educated base or mass, you're going to end up with a whole lot of illiterate people that the foreign investors are going to end up making them slaves, like what they did to the Aborigines in Australia. So if the Guyanese people want anything for their children, they're going to stand up, come together as one, because our coat of arms says one nation, one people, one destiny, right? Let us live that way. It's not about one Guyana. One Guyana is a communist label. We are not a communist nation. We are a nation that used to be loving and caring for each other. That is what we need to do. Our elected officials must be held to the fire. If they can't do the bidding, get out. Or we must force them, demand their resignation. R.B. Norton needs to stand up and adjust himself. If he can't change his ways to become a proper leader, he must be forced out at all costs, or else the country is going to go to hell.
All right, Mr. Crawford, thank you so much for your closing remarks there. Before we get to Mr. Caesar, I want to dedicate this song. A lot of people think that there's animosity towards a majority of our MPs. That is not true. I like a lot of our MPs. I don't know most of them personally. And for me, I think I understand politics better than, in terms of not better than because I'm better than anybody, but I've been around politics for a while, locally, regionally, and internationally. So I understand what we expect from our politicians. And so tonight, I know we have a lot of our MPs may be watching. I know some of them usually suck their teeth and all manner of things. But I noticed some guys stuck with Granger and Black people and Granger. Come on, you guys, just get off that and let's stay focused, man. Or form some forum, some chat group, and deal with Granger. Some chat group. So tonight, I want to set this record straight that I love all of the MPs, even the lazy ones. I love them. I really do. And I want to dedicate this song to all of them. I'll play probably about 1.5 minutes of the song. Miss Annette Ferguson, good evening. I want to dedicate this song to all of our MPs in the opposition, all of them. So nobody could tell me that I don't respect or appreciate our MPs. This song is dedicated to them, all of them. Mwah. And then we'll come back for your closing remarks, please, Mr. Caesar. You guys don't go anywhere. This song is dedicated to all of our opposition MPs, all of them.
So we say good afternoon to all callers. You're live and live on Talk Your Talk 97.7 FM. And we say today, call in and tell us when last you see an MP. We have been having a lot of complaints from most of our listeners that we should run a program like this. MPs have been missing from their constituencies, from their offices, persons from their offices, persons have their offices, persons.
When last you see an MP, anybody by MP inside here? Tell me, call them out. Yes. Get the story. Listen me radio one day, I hear the announcer say, all you call in and tell we, when last you see your MP. I was in my living room, I turn up my volume. It's now I listening, but this thing song ain't interesting. Then he say, this have nothing to do with your party or who you vote for, but call and talk the truth about your MP. Whether you're from east, west, north or south, all you know what we talking about. The lines are open. This is your chance to call them out. The first caller calling Munilan. I don't see that man at all. Last time I was on Mosquito Creek, a van passed light up like a police jeep. Then I hear the taxi driver saying, all you know that Munilan passing. Up to now, I can't get my road fixed. Hello?
Dinesh, when last you see your MP? All them MPs out in Region 10. When last you see your MP? You see, you guys can't say we don't love our MPs. We dedicate that song to them. And the question is, when last all you see all the MPs? All you see all the MPs? Mr. Caesar, you get the last word, sir, please. Brief.
Yeah, Mark. So, Mark, I wanted to make a point, and because, sometimes a lot of people post a lot of things. So I want to make a point just to say that, I am not aligned with any political party.
You're lying. You're serious? You could have fooled me.
I'm not a member of none of the political parties. I don't intend to be a member of any of them. I feel like if I come on this platform to represent the people of Guyana, that's where my care is. My care is to the people. If it doesn't matter which party is in power, if I see something that's wrong, I'm gonna call it out. I'm not gonna hold any biases. I think that's fair, but in closing,
nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong with belonging to a party. Nothing is wrong with saying that. I say that I'm sympathetic towards the coalition, and I'm 95% with them. The 5% I'd like to exercise my, independence.
Well, Mark,
wrong with that. We don't have to try to sit on the fence to prove to anybody anything.
Mark,
your closing remarks, please.
Mark, yeah. I'm going to say this. I'm not even 95% with the coalition.
Well, I am 95%
I'm 100% with the coalition.
Because I want to see these criminals in
the of course.
Out of office.
Yeah, no doubt.
Your closing remarks, please.
No doubt. Yeah, Mark, one thing I would like to really comment on is the Public Accounts Committee. That has not been meeting because I think the PPP would have changed the policy. Right, and how many people needs to be there and how many people from the government side needs to be there to form a quorum in order for the PAC to meet. And I know our brother up in Linden, Mr. Jermaine Figueroa, is the person from the coalition side who, does the bidding when it comes to the PAC. I would like to see Jermaine get more aggressive. And these meetings need to happen. This is important. This is talking about, the month-to-month, day-to-day runnings of the country. you know, and it needs to be addressed. You can't sit down on this. When you sit down on such things is when you allow the money laundering and the corruption and everything, and the contracts going out here, there, and everywhere without being properly tendered out. You know, we want to see these things change. You know, and also I must say, the president made a glaring error.
What president?
Well, we have an installed president. The installed president made a glaring error when he went ahead and dissolved the Police Service Commission. Right? I think that was against the Constitution. I know MP Roysdale Ford was on the program, and he did say, you know, that we have grounds there for impeachment. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, an impeachment against this president. You just can't let people do things without checking them. There's laws, man, and the laws need to be respected. The laws need to be respected. Last but not least, Mark, I would like to see Miss Roxanne George and Miss Yonette Cummins be confirmed. This needs to happen. How long are we going to stay in this whole acting posture? You know, I agree. I think I heard you talk about this. I think the PPP is scared because, one, we're talking about two women, and then two, we're talking about two Afro-Guyanese women. So I feel that really bothers the PPP. Who do y'all want to put there? Rishi Prasad? The bias Rishi Prasad? Yes, and I'm calling him bias on the program here. Mark, that's my closing remarks.
Looks like JR has something else to say. Go ahead, JR.
I'm wondering if Wayne realized what we are up to, where we're up against as a Guyanese people. You guys are going light on the MPs. And Wayne mentioned the PSC pack. Look at the friendship that's going on there, my brother. A lot of these things are happening because of a tight backdoor buddyism that's going on. And the people are suffering, and that is where our people needs to stand out. Look at the situation out in Linden there at Mackenzie Sports Ground. Nigel London and the headmasters there. Where are the two MPs for the coalition in Region 10? They're not there. They weren't there. So what does that tell you? That's not. We are not having our bang for the buck when these guys are elected. We need to get them off. This is where Norton needs to stand up and says, "Hey, I'm going to be a proper leader." It's not too late for him to change course and become and adjust his attitude and become a people's person. Do the right thing for the people, and whatever bad might have happened in the past, it will be subsided. But we are not seeing it. All we're seeing are foolish behaviors out of Congress Place. You know, people are appointed, and who wants to do the bidding for the people that they're supposed to serve? And, you know, we are having all sorts of nonsense going on. And people who are in there are not doing the bidding. Nobody's telling them anything. And again, it's not only the coalition supporters who are being hurt. It's the whole country at large. And when you need to be, if you're saying that you're 100% a coalition supporter, you need to be much more critical. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here on Bench Up platform to make friends or to have people stop by me and visit. I'm here because there's a purpose. And my purpose is to fight for every single Guyanese, black or Indian, Amerindian or Portuguese or Chinese or white, to make sure that they have an equal opportunity as everybody else. I don't need anything from this country. I don't need no position or nothing. At the end of the day, I could be dead tomorrow morning. What I want to see is our people have a fair chance to make something of themselves. And we should not allow 10% to run away with the wealth of this country and deprive 90% of the people. When you go into the markets, you see the harmony, and you also hear the struggles of the cost of living. You're building stadiums so you can create more prison because people have to steal or do prostitution to attend these functions. You're not creating a package factory. You're not opening the same abandoned sugar lands for cash crops so you can export and people have employment. But you're going to give me a stadium and you're giving me disposable road. And who is going to be held accountable for these roads? All these fly-by-night contractors who are building this flimsy road work. Who is going to pay for it? You're putting a stadium that will interfere with traffic. Who designed it? You have thousands of acres. Put the damn stadium all the way in the back so you don't have traffic jams on the main thoroughfare. But again, no proper discussion. The people that are coming up with these dumb ideas are people who have no sense. If you want to see how things are done, go in the foreign countries, look at how the layouts are, and then you come back. You can't put things on the side of the road. But because Guyanese people have a tendency of being rude, that is what we get because we are not putting them in their places.
We definitely have to go. We'll end on this note. I see people are smiling at the disposable roads. Mr. Crawford, thank you so much. This is where democracy exists, that we agree to disagree. Of course, you know, Mr. Caesar has his own way of putting his things over as well. He can bash halfway. We can bash 100%. But whatever little bashing, it's okay. And it's not bashing, it's constructive criticism. We don't have anything personal against our MPs. We just want our MPs to work. Those who aren't working, that's all. Take their MP jobs seriously. Go out there and represent the people. And you represent the people, we'll talk glorious things about you guys. But if you don't do anything, don't expect that here. Just don't expect that here. So I hope that all of our MPs in the opposition can go out there, those who aren't working, and start working. We need to see the MPs in Region 6 and Region 10, not just on some silly Zoom meeting and call it town hall meeting. The MPs in Region 4. You know, we're not hearing, we're not seeing about anything about Valda Lawrence or a lot of these other people. And don't try to insult my intelligence by telling our intelligence by telling us that they're doing research and they're observing. More needs to be done. The PPP is injured. They could lose and will lose the next general and regional elections. But you guys, MPs, you need to do more. We are with you. We are not against you. Stop taking things personal. Stop being emotional. Stop fighting a selfish fight for yourself. And just you want to look good. If you do the work of the people, represent your people, not only you look good, your party looks good as well. And that is what politics is all about. And I hope our MPs can do better. Annette Ferguson has promised to go to Mocha. We haven't seen anything in Mocha, which suggests to me that Ms. Ferguson doesn't really want to go to Mocha. I hope she goes to Mocha. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And let us just basically remain focused. Some people are just bent on one track. And I'm beginning to suspect that it is a distraction. I'm going to read some of you. I know who some of you are. Some of you are basically here for that distraction. And I'm not going to tolerate any sort of distraction. I understand distractions when I see distractions. Mr. Caesar, thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule. And Mr. Crawford as well. You guys continue doing the good work that you're doing. Mr. Crawford, I know you've been talking to a lot of people out there in the quarantine, and we respect and we salute you for that, sir. God bless you both.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, and to all of our listeners, especially all of you are really special. But I see some of them. Look, I see some of them are about distraction. I've been around on the block. I can't believe I'm saying I've been around on the block for too long, right, Miss Simons and others? I know when people are out to distract. I know who some of you are. Pretending that you were with us, waiting for this big day to put a big lash on us, right? Been around. I know who some of you are. I'll be reviewing. I know some of you. So this song, again, let's dedicate it to our MPs. This is for them as we close off tonight's program. I'll see you back tomorrow, same place, same time. God bless you, Have a great rest of the night. And to all of our opposition MPs, get out there and do some work.
RCC MP, we have been having a lot of complaints from most of our listeners that we should run a program like this. MPs have been missing from their constituencies, from their offices, persons from their offices, persons from their offices, persons have their offices, persons.
Well, last year, MP, anybody by MP inside here? Tell me, call them out. Yes. Get the story. Listen me radio one day, I hear the announcer say, all you call in and tell we, when last you see your MP. I was in my living room, I turn up my volume. It's now I listening, got this thing song and interesting. Then he say, this have nothing to do with your party or who you vote for, but call and talk the truth about your MP. Whether you're from east, west, north or south, all you know what we talking about. The lines are open. This is your chance to call them out. The first caller calling Munilal. I don't see that man at all. Last time I was on Mosquito Creek, a van passed light up like a police jeep. Then I hear the taxi driver saying, all you know that Munilal passing. Up to now, I can't get my road fixed. Hello, hello. The man gets shady click. Next caller. Sharma! Oh Lord, the MP for Pfizer. To find that man, it is so hard. 20 years, he in the post. I just call him Casper, the friendly ghost. Caller. Calling Parta. Boy, not me and that fella. I'm from Toko, Manzanilla. See him, I can't remember when. Wait. I think it was outside Zen. Oh gosh. Look MP. But where? Look MP. But where? Look MP. Look him there. Look there. Don't let him get away. Look MP. But where? Look MP. But where? Look MP. Look him there. Look there. Don't let him get away. Let your calls keep coming in. When last you see MP, come and tell me. The announcer was in shock. He said, look how the lines lighting up. But I get a feeling they go call in and say some good things. They was going to take a break. Then he say, some more calls let we take. But listen carefully. To you, your MP have a duty. Whether or not you voted for them, they're supposed to attend to the constituents' problems. For you, they're supposed to make time. They shouldn't be so hard to find. All you keep calling in. Call in and talk all your mind. Back to the lines. Gypsy! My MP for me arrow. Like he feel this thing is extempo. He just pass with the glass wine up. And when they try to stop him, he don't stop. He don't make no time for we, you know. But I go back to singing Calypso. Caller, not today. Prakash Ramadan! Well, boy, we don't see him. No way in St. Augustine. Last time I think was on TV. They wanted to kick him out the COP. Caller. Lincoln Douglas. Oh, gosh. Lopino born and West Calling. Not even on TV, you don't see him. By the way, if you see him before me, tell him about the money he promised me. Oh, Lord. Look MP. But where? Look MP. But where? Look MP. Look him there. Don't let him get away. Look MP. I can't see him, but where? Look there. Don't let him get away.
So, this is Attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.